Hello, my name is Heather S.O.M. I'm the Executive Director of the Office of the Lieutenant Governor and very pleased to welcome you to the launch of the 2021 One Book, One Province. We are filming today at Government House in Regina, which is in Treaty 4 territory and home of the Métis. Each program participant is filming their segment of the program alone in the room, with only our wonderful videographer, M. Ironstar, present with us. And M is masked, and so we are able to speak at this podium without masks. Kokum Brenda Dubois is a mother and grandmother from Muscopatang First Nation. She has worked extensively in the areas of child welfare, human justice, and environmental issues. She is an advocate for education and vulnerable peoples. It is my pleasure to invite Kokum Dubois to offer a blessing.
I'd like to thank you for allowing me to be a part of the opportunity again to be a part of the rollout for the One Book, One Province. I really appreciate this opportunity. I'd like to remind you that if you don't mind, when we pray, I ask you to pray too. It's the power of prayer. I really believe in the power of collective prayer. And especially in these times right now, in isolation, people need to remind themselves that you are not alone. The only time you're alone is when your faith walks out that door. So have strong faith, strong beliefs in who you are. So the first piece I'd like to do is I want to ask you to give gratitude. Gratitude for your breath. Because when you woke up this morning, you woke up. And Creator's created another opportunity for you to engage in the day. Embrace that day. If you have time, let the sun embrace your face. Let that cold, chilly wind take your breath away for a moment to remind you that we tingle too, just like her. Remind yourself as you walk on her that she is the one that now gives us life once our birth mothers granted us that other gift. And as we continue to walk in our territories, please acknowledge all the animals, all the birds, all the crawlers, all the swimmers, because we are interrelated with all of that. We rely on them for our sustenance and our being as well. So you need to realize that those are all spirits. Give homage to the grass. I like grass in the prairies. I think in the cities, grass should be turned into gardens so that we then in turn learn how to relate to water better and garner a sense of independence and relationship with our true mother. So, I want to just say a moment as well. I never close. There's no closing to a prayer. Isn't that amazing? You don't realize that throughout the entire day, you can spend the entire day giving gratitude. I just wanted to say something specific for Paul with the blanket toss under the midnight sun, the book that he wrote. I want to thank him for moving to a different genre. I may be wrong with the words. It's photo storytelling, but really it's photo truth telling in the context of us as Indigenous peoples. And I want to thank him so much for taking the time to put this book together, because what it did was it authenticated us, authenticated our lives. As I went through not only the pictures especially brought back smells, sounds, children laughing, playing, the smell of mud, earth, doing all those things, the sound of the drum, whether it be from our community or another community, that commonality that we have that brings us all together. So I really appreciated that opportunity as well, because nowadays it's hard to see photographs and I as well, in reading the book, some of the photographs told truth, allowed people to tell their truth. And even though the truth was painful, it's about acknowledging that even though you had that beautiful woman sitting there, you don't realize what she was carrying and what she was holding. And that was a testament. So I really appreciate anybody who does book writing or try to do that in that new sense, because it is through the artists that our world is going to change. And so you, in doing this as well, are creating that momentum for us, not only to reflect on our past, but also to how we embrace our future. So, Dinigi, Paul, I really appreciate this. I thank you.
Thank you, Kokum Dubois. Russ Mirasty became Saskatchewan's 23rd Lieutenant Governor in July of 2019, and he is the first Indigenous person to serve in this role. Born and raised in Lac La Ronge, his honor is a member of the Lac La Ronge Indian Band and is fluent in Cree. He joined the Royal Canadian Mounted Police in 1976, and over his 36-year career, he was posted to 7 provinces and performed duties in every province and territory, and participated in an exchange with the Northern Territory Police Service in Australia. He served in various roles, including Director General of National Aboriginal Policing Services and Commanding Officer of F Division, Saskatchewan. His Honour and his wife, Donna Mirasty, have a home in La Ronge, and they have 2 children and 2 grandchildren. It is my pleasure to invite Lieutenant Governor Russ Mirasty to offer remarks. Your Honour.
Hello, everyone. Tansi. Bonjour. I want to thank Kokum Dubois for her blessing to begin this special event. And thank you to everyone who is joining us online to launch One Book, One Province. I'm grateful to the Saskatchewan Library Association for their important work in our province, and especially for this valuable program. One Book, One Province brings people together through a shared reading experience. This has been a challenging year, and we need this communal experience more than ever. I congratulate Paul Seesequasis on the selection of his book this year. Truly good selection that your book has been selected this year. Thank you, Paul, for your impressive research, which led to Blanket Toss Under the Midnight Sun. And thank you for sharing the stunning historic photographs and stories. When we see photographs, often they remind us of our own experiences. I've really enjoyed reading Blanket Toss. The photographs remind me of my family, people, and community of days gone by. The photographs are really more than just images. I'm looking forward to hearing Paul read and learning about his journey in creating this fascinating book. We've been living in isolation from one another for almost a year, and it's very difficult to be separated, especially from family. This program is an opportunity to feel a sense of community as we read this unique and remarkable book together. And so I encourage everyone to take part in One Book, One Province. Paul Seesequasis' book is beautiful and thought-provoking, and a wonderful selection. In closing, it is my pleasure to bring greetings on behalf of Her Majesty, Queen Elizabeth II, Queen of Canada. And in the spirit of reconciliation, I would like to share these greetings in my first language of Woodland Cree. Elizabeth II. Canada. And now I am pleased to introduce Amy Rankin. Amy is the president of the Saskatchewan Library Association. She is also manager of the RCMP Resource Center. It is my pleasure to invite Amy Rankin to offer remarks.
The Saskatchewan Library Association is pleased and honored to be at Government House for the launch of the 2021 One Book, One Province program. One Book, One Province is an important program for the Library Association as it embodies the broad goals of the organization. One Book, One Province is a province-wide event that encourages all Saskatchewan residents to read or listen to a selected book, and this year to enjoy the pictures as well. As such, it promotes literacy and community. We also endeavor to have the program promote a message through the title selection. The theme that the committee and the author thought could guide your discussions is Our Photos, Our Stories. This year's selection, Blanket Toss Under Midnight Sun, promotes a clear message for readers and listeners. It promotes a message of understanding and awareness of Indigenous people and communities through stories and photographs. We are hopeful that this message contributes to truth and reconciliation in our communities across the province. Since I know that you are not here to listen to me, it is my privilege and pleasure to introduce Paul Seesequasis, author of Blanket Toss Under Midnight Sun. Paul is a Willow Cree writer, journalist, cultural advocate, and commentator. His writing has appeared in the Globe and Mail, The Walrus, Brick, and Granta magazines, among others. He has been active in the Indigenous arts, both as an artist and a policymaker, since the 1990s. Please join me in welcoming Paul to the podium.
Tanze, hello, bonjour. It's my pleasure to be here at this event for One Book, One Saskatchewan. I'd like to firstly thank Cookham Brenda Dubois, His Honour Russ Mirasty, and everyone from the Saskatchewan Library Association, the Saskatchewan Writers Guild, and all the people who've been working hard on this. And I'm very honoured to receive this award. I'm very humbled by the experience, and it's also a pleasure to be welcomed here today, coming from Treaty 6 up in Saskatoon down to Treaty 4, and receiving such a warm welcome on such a cold day. So thank you all. Hi. Blanket Toss Under Midnight Sun was around a 2.5 to 3 year process of research, of gathering photos. It was inspired by my late mother. She passed away just this last November, who was a residential school survivor. She went to St. Michael's residential school in Duck Lake, which was very close to the reserve. She grew up at Beardy's, so she could almost look out the window of her dorm room and see the house on the reserve where she was from, but could not visit except on certain days. But she was a witness at the Truth and Reconciliation Commission meetings that took place in Wanaskewin a number of years ago. And she had just made a comment about, while we are hearing all about the horrific things that had happened in residential schools, we were not hearing about the resilience and the strength of the generations that went through that, the people we respect for keeping language and culture, community and kinships alive through the, harshest of measures. They kept it going. So that was really the inspiration for the research for the photographs and the stories that began to come out of the stories as I researched them. I should just say the timing was quite extraordinary as well, because a lot of these photos come from the 50s, early 60s. Sometimes some of them are earlier than that, the 40s. And I was actually able to talk and interview a number of people who have since passed on their journey. So it was, had it been a year or two later, I would not have got half these stories. I'm going to read the first section, which is a section on Kanuat Ashvik, famous Inuk artist, and I had done research on her, and I'll let the story speak for itself. Kanuat Ashvik was a pivotal artist in the emerging Inuit art scene in Cape Dorset, which is now Kingate. Shown here in 1960, exiting her tent with her son Adamy, her star is already rising quickly. Kanuak was a powerhouse in the West Baffin Island Cooperative, along with Kanadak Putagik. Up until her death in 2013, Kanuak contributed many prints, and her art sold exceptionally well. She became quite possibly the most famous Inuit artist in the world, known for her prints Enchanted Owl and Return of the Sun, which appeared on Canadian stamps, and Red Owl, which the Royal Canadian Mint included on quarters in 1999. At every annual print collection from the very beginning, Kanuak's art was much in demand, providing essential revenue for the emerging cooperative. A founding member and only signatory to its establishment, she was a seminal part of Cape Dorset and the creative culture surrounding it. According to John Houston, the Inuit and Kingate realized a couple of things right away, and one of them was that the co-op was a kind of an extension of the already timeless Inuit way of being in the world, an extension of Inuit traditional knowledge, and the necessity and benefits of working together in the Arctic. The tent from which she is emerging is typical of the period. The tents were canvas and kept scrupulously clean. They were highly portable and often moved. The tent served as both Kanuak's living quarters, where she raised her children, and also her studio. The builders salvaged material from the sea or from ships that arrived and installed a wooden door rather than having to use the less convenient flap. Kanuak was very close to all her children, as evidenced by one of her sons, Adami Ashvik, in the carrier hood of her Amatik, and an older son, Arnuki, in the background. The design of the Amate and the carrier hood fosters a wonderful closeness between parents and children. When growing up, they are constantly in and out of the hoods, being snuggled and always able to find the warm proximity of their mother. This intimacy from infancy creates a strong sense of self and of being an accepted member of a community. In the photograph, Kanuak is wearing a summer-style amate with bands on the sleeves that are very distinctive of Cape Dorset. Being a coastal settlement, there was a long tradition of trade and barter with whaling ships, and also at the local Hudson's Bay Company store. Especially prized were fabric and dressmaking materials that were brought up or mailed by visitors from the south. These could not be found on the shelves of the Hudson Bay Company store. The pattern of the skirt Kanuak made suggests this is the end result of one of those gifts. Below the skirt are her sealskin boots, which she also made. Quote, "My mother, Elma Houston, when we were in the south, would find some interesting kinds of material and take 3 or 4 meters of it and wrap it up and send it up to Kanuak or to some other Inuk women in the community, and they would appreciate that beyond all measure," recalled John. In the photograph, Kanuak has got a bit of material there that she would have certainly sewn up herself, and there's probably a bit of material pattern that's not necessarily duplicated or worn by anyone else in the community. Quote, "There is no word for art in Inuktitut," Kanuak once said. "We say it is to transfer something from the real to the unreal. I am an owl, and I am happy owl. I like to make people happy and everything happy. I am the light of happiness, and I am a dancing owl." Unquote. In Joliet Eden's photograph, she is light emerging from the day. Brad Bellegarde is a member of the Little Black Bear First Nation and is a nationally published journalist, having written articles featured in the Globe and Mail, Toronto Star, Ottawa Citizen, Huffington Post, and the CBC. Bellegarde currently works as a cultural diversity and Indigenous relations advisor for the city of Regina. In addition to his professional accomplishments, Brad, also known as InfoRed, is a nationally recognized hip-hop artist, having performed live on national television, as well as in Vancouver for the 2009 Cultural Olympiad, and also for His Royal Highness, the Prince of Wales, and his wife, the Duchess of Cornwall, during their 2012 royal visit to Canada. Brad.
Matakiape, Chungusha Gamani Magiabe, Mianamakota, Imakiape Woptakatioshpe, Mitaku ye Ina Chigakintioshpe, Mitaku ye Ade, Little Black Bear First Nation. I'm Brad Bellegarde, aka InfoRed. This is my main man, Erik Mehlsen, and we're just going to get into it. First off, thanks to Cook and Brenda for starting this day off the right way. We want everybody to have some fun here. So many kids lost in the mix, lurking for a way of life, lost in the sticks, lost in the midst of a moment for the rich, trying to get rich cause this life ain't too rich at times. So I write to enrich the mind, and I ain't rich, but I'm rich with rhyme. And I'm still here killing it, kids. I've had my ups and downs, still learning to live. I've been on top of the world, I've had my life in the struggle. I've had a picture perfect day turn straight into trouble. I'm not saying I'm a perfect person, believe that. I ain't judging nobody, nobody needs that. Just trying to ease back and breathe rap. Inhaling, exhaling emotions, can't you see that? I got my ammo, I'm fully loaded to blast back. Wittingly, willingly killing villains cause I rap fact. Move back, let me hit them with wisdom, a colorful vision of never having brothers in prison. And when I utter, you listen, cause our women are missing. Murdered in prison is the only avenue for our children. Such a shady way to live, it can't fade away. Then they say we should move off of the res anyway. So stand strong when we're gone, we're gone. Without the women on this earth, ain't nobody will carry on. Hope everybody's enjoying themselves out there. You know, these types of events are very, very important for the purpose of education. And I really want to send a big congratulations to Paul Seesequasis and his wonderful words depicting a little piece of our history here in Saskatchewan. As I mentioned, I go by the name of InfoRed when I'm performing, but as soon as this microphone gets put down, I'm Brad Bellegarde, and this is Erik Mehlsen. This next piece is actually off of an album that I released in mid-April of 2020, and it's called Roses. We all heard the phrase, you gotta wake up and smell the roses. So that's what this song's about. Yeah. Lifestyles of a native in a nation filled with hate. It's getting harder nowadays to put this food up on my plate. But I'm hungry, steady on the grind to eat a beat. Writing scriptures for the future, taking kids right off the street. The time has arrived to unify and stand together. In the midst of all this chaos, we'll survive another winter. Like we always do, history repeats. Let it echo through the valley, what I write is what I preach. So unique, my speech designed to teach and reach the youth. A piece of you inside the minds of peeps so they could keep it true. Steady on a hustle with the bustle on the back. To the chicken dances, what up? Bring that culture back. Satisfactory, scripture from my faculty for family. Got a team, the realest, how we kill it, ain't no fantasy. Sanity's demanding me to be the man I am. The man in me is telling me to be the man I can. Voiceover, pen to the paper without the pen. Dark souls finding the light within what is said. This is for the people, unification is needed. Stop that infighting, now is the time for us to believe it. It takes more than a little to fiddle with life's riddles. Staring at a mountain to something brittle. Hoping that our spoken ain't broken beneath the stars. Speaking while we're reaching and seeking to peak afar. It takes more than a little to fiddle with life's riddles. More than a little to fiddle with life's riddles. I came a long way from busting rhymes in your ear to after party rocking microphones to make you hear. Hours upon hours of me rapping in the mirror. They'd be like, why do you still do it though? It keeps my mind clear and my feet planted, always grounded on this planet. I used to want the money, now it's knowledge, understanding. Or overstanding, man, I'm smoother than the granite countertops up in the kitchen where the millionaires be stashing all the money, but I'm still right here. It's kinda funny like that, cause I rhyme so clear with love for my people. This is just a prequel. Soon we'll all be equal in the sequel. It ain't lethal. Moving about it when we shout it out together. Unity can live forever. You and me can make it better. But just a thought right now. We need a pause for a moment while I stomp this out. That song's about just waking up, smelling the roses, as Cook and Brenda said. It's very important to recognize it doesn't matter where you are. You're always having that opportunity to live through that prayer, whatever your prayer be. Life is a ceremony, waking up a ceremony. So we got to give thanks for that. This next piece right here is something that I was a part of a band. I'm a part of a band called the Local Onlys, and it's called Kings Among Clowns. The whole idea of this song is we're all kings and queens. Living life is our royalty. You know, it's like It's a privilege just to be able to wake up and breathe. And this song is called Kings Among Clowns. Let's hit it. Once again, I want to thank Saskatchewan Libraries Association for inviting me to be a part of this wonderful, wonderful campaign that they have, One Book, One Province. My ideologies receive more apologies from apologetic G's, known as political people who deceive. Nothing but property thieves punting poor people who barely eat to the street. As front page headlines indicate, the cost is increasing for heat. It's the platform of progression, elected into an uncommon seat in a common house, only to become part of the problem for millions of solutions to better ourselves. All I'm saying is nothing more than all I'm saying, and nonetheless nothing less. Oxymoron words at worst best. It's time for us to stop saying it's time to start, and just start, so when we're finished we can start to say stop. Like cops and cruisers choose to lose drug abusers in favor of donut shops. This is it, more so a global epidemic. When authorities of the law become selfish, we say another king dies in the arms of a paramedic. They say another clown dies laughing. It's pathetic, disgusting. Yeah, I said it, but I'm not trusting the etiquette of any who get taught to lie, shot and die, or bought and cry before they make amends of any and everything they try. I mean it. No lie. Want to know why? Because we're all kings among clowns. We're kings among clowns. Lost and never found, trying to find the right direction, detecting the crowns. We're lost and never found. We're lost and never found. We're lost and never found. Kings among clowns. We're lost and never found, trying to find the right direction, detecting the crowns. We're lost and never found. We're lost and never found. Kings among clowns. My tentative momentum equalizes styles in abstract. When worlds begin to collapse, we'll find a mask to block out the past, staring at stars from a distance. Color forms afar, I bear witness, a subject of suspects among the wicked, scripting hieroglyphics in no man's land. I'll hydroplane to the next lane, because the game is still a plan. And plans become the problems, for the uninstinctive, ignorant false prophets who can't solve them. Throughout existence, exits have been the back door for a lot more than the average. Eternal damage make the good become savage in a world filled with filth. Corporate dominance, it's obvious. We all want mills and big bills with fast cars to move faster. That's why I maintain and stream with the green pastures. Those that pass on become masters of our universe, sending signals to prevent our world from getting worse. But before we get hurt, it's my purpose to work this. Space intelligence is irrelevant, the fifth element can't be found. Take a look at the infinite book and choose which king should be crowned. We're lost and never found. We're lost and never found. Kings among clowns, we're lost and never found, trying to find the right direction, detecting the grounds. We're lost and never found. We're lost and never found. We're lost and never found. Yeah, as I hold the broken world in the palm of my hand, I'm looking back on my past life as if it were a plan. Plans brought the missions of my broken dreams and stream with broken promises. It's obvious I'm working on solving my problems, each one at a time. Preach more for your mind with each one in the rhyme. Serve green, utilize my eyes for perfect vision or living. Curse my world of words into a prism. Yeah, I'm living, but I can't say it's all peaches. Fiends and Klingons love blood more than leeches, and pieces of the puzzle become lost and never found. My words flow together like harps in heaven sound. Whose solo life first class seats heaven bound, staring down at us, kings among clowns without crowns. As angels with the wings bring the messages, I question this life I live legally, searching for a shortcut. More lust can force us to spots that could torch us, so I'm tortured. With shorter breaths I inhale, gasping for answers to questions I've unveiled. It's hailing, but ice melts among the innocent. Kings among clowns, bear witness to this. Kings among clowns, we're lost and never found, trying to find the right direction, detecting the crowns. We're lost and never found. We're lost and never found. I just wanted to say thank Saskatchewan Libraries Association, Saskatchewan Writers Guild. I want to thank His Honor Lieutenant Governor Russ Mirasty for greeting us and residing in Treaty 4. We're in Treaty 4 right now, but coming down here from Treaty 6, and most importantly, I'm celebrating the literary work and achievements of Paul Seesequasis. Thank you, guys. Matakiasan.
George Johnson, who lived from 1884 to 1972, whose Tlingit name was Kes Clare, was a notable fixture around Teslin for decades. He was an entrepreneur, hunter, trapper, store owner, and photographer. With the Brownie box camera he purchased, Johnson taught himself how to take photographs as well as how to set up, from scratch, a darkroom in the corner of his bush cabin. From there, he developed hundreds of photographs depicting Tlingit life, both in the village of Teslin in the Yukon and in the countryside around it, from the 1920s to the 1950s. In the summer of 1928, Johnson purchased a new Chevy with funds he'd raised from trapping. Getting the car to Teslin was not an easy feat. However, as there were no suitable roads at the time, Johnson had to transport the Chevy several hundred kilometers upstream along the Yukon River on a raft, and then he, with the help of friends, constructed over 5 kilometers of road, clearing bush to accommodate his car. Johnson's road would eventually be incorporated into the Alaska Highway. Painted white in the winter and black in the summer to enhance its use for hunting, Johnson's Chevy achieved an iconic, even legendary status, not only in Teslin but in the territory as a whole. He started up what was likely the first Indigenous-run taxi service in North America. And in the winter, he fitted the tires with chains so he could drive people up to 90 kilometers over the frozen waterways. Johnson's Brownie was a constant companion during this period. He took intimate pictures of local people tanning hides, hunting and fishing, playing sports, traveling by dog team and snowshoe, and attending church, as well as those using his taxi service. Johnson also operated a general store in the community, which sold everything from hunting supplies to candy. I remember buying pink popcorn from him for a nickel, Jack Johnson's granddaughter, Mary Blahitka, said. What a kind man he was. My grandfather was a beautiful man, gentle and kind, Chantala Dewhurst, his daughter recalled. When people needed a hand, Johnson could be relied upon. He was also good at communicating and negotiating with Southerners at a time when most Tlingit did not speak more than a few words of English. Along with Inuit photographer Peter Pitsileak, George Johnson can be considered a pioneer of Indigenous photography, predating the upcoming generation of Indigenous photographers by many years. In fact, he acquired his Brownie a full 2 decades before Pitsileak, who began taking pictures in the 1940s. The hundreds of his photographs that survive run contrary to any narrative of depression or poverty. People may not have had much money, but they were hardworking and enterprising. The land provided food, shelter, and clothing. And Johnson's photographs capture the expertise of Tlingit men and women who were highly educated in living off the land. Beyond mere survival, however, Johnson's lens captured a spirit of fun and play, of community coming together, and of also adapting to and accepting change. Thank you. Hi.
In closing, I would like to thank Coke and Brenda Dubois. Our most sincere gratitude is extended to His Honor and Mrs. Mirasty. We appreciate your patronage, most definitely, and your support of the One Book, One Province program. Thank you to the staff, especially Heather Saloom, Carolyn Spears, and Christopher Dove at Government House for your planning, assistance, and support. Many thanks to our partners and sponsors, especially to Sask Lotteries, who provide much of our funding, and Sask Culture for their support. Thank you to the Saskatchewan Writers Guild, as your partnership is invaluable. For various contributions to the success of this year's OBOP, I would also like to thank Penguin Random House Canada, as well as the University of Regina Archer Library, Regina Public Library, Saskatoon Public Library, and the Alex Robertson Public Library. Our appreciation is extended to M. Ironstar, who records, edits, and troubleshoots behind the scenes. I would like to acknowledge and thank the Saskatchewan Library Association One Book, One Province Committee and staff who work throughout the year on program planning. Colleen Murphy, Committee Chair, Anne Liang, Kathleen Arwin, Joe Geary, Kimberly Hintz, Paula Daigle, and the SLA Program Coordinator, Anne Penny Legion. Thank you to Brad Bellegarde and Erik Mehlsen for contributing your talent to this special event. Finally, Paul, thank you for agreeing to work with the Saskatchewan Library Association to introduce Blanket Toss Under Midnight Sun to communities across the province. Thank you.